Rubin Show.
So, with this whole social distancing thing, I decided to rewatch all of the Star Trek motion pictures, and I wanted to rate them to see if their rating was still the same that I had originally concocted back when I first saw them. So, my number one, I'm going to give my top five, and then I'm going to give my bottom three, and then we'll see where the other ones fit into the whole scheme. The number one best Star Trek movie of all time is, and you can't deny this, it is Star Trek the Motion Picture. The first movie. It's existential. It brings up such interesting questions. The special effects are fantastic. The pacing of the film can be a bit slow, but I kind of think it really works well that way. It's the most like an actual Star Trek episode, but just on a grander scale. And Star Trek the Motion Picture, number one, no doubt about it. Now, my second favorite Star Trek movie is not, as you might think, Wrath of Khan. I know, everyone loves Wrath of Khan. Yes, Wrath of Khan is excellent. But my second favorite Star Trek motion picture is number three, The Search for Spock. And that is because if you, the villains, if you have to compare Wrath of Khan, which is great, it's wonderful, yes, Ricardo Montalban's character, Khan, versus Christopher Lloyd's character, Commander Krug, I think his name is, there's no doubt about it. Probably the best Klingon ever, and he takes the show in my estimation. He's not just villainous, he's believable, and he's funny at the same time. Ricardo Montalban seems, I don't know, a bit, I don't know. But still, Wrath of Khan comes in as my number three favorite Star Trek movie. So far we have number one, number three, and then number two. Wrath of Khan is wonderful. Of course, it has great drama, and who could not cry at the end when Spock, wait a minute, spoiler alert, when Spock dies. Now, of course, that made episode 3, the title of it, kind of give away what's happening in the movie when they said it was Search for Spock. Well, you can't have a Search for Spock if you don't have Spock. Nonetheless, so my fourth favorite Star Trek movie is episode 6, The Undiscovered Country. Again, I think it's really a lot of the villains that make that such an interesting one. The acting is, it's a little bit overdone with the the whole Shakespeare thing, but I still think it's a strong enough one that it comes in fourth place. My fifth place one is episode 4. What's it called? The Journey Home or something like that. The one where they have to go back to Earth in the modern times, and oh, I know that happened in a couple of the episodes. It kind of made it easy and inexpensive to do an episode where you do it just in the modern times. But it works in this one. It's a bit silly, but whatever. And it's interesting enough. And the whole thing with the whales and the lady that's, comes back with them in time and all like that. I think it's a really good one. Now for the bottom. The worst of the Star Trek episodes. Now, there's a tie. I said I was going to give you the bottom 3. There's a tie. Nemesis and Insurrection are both so abysmal that it's very difficult to know which one is worse. In fact, I was watching Nemesis on TV a number of years ago, and I actually got really sick the next day. Now, maybe there's no connection, but I don't know. There's got to be some. Maybe I felt so horrified by watching this film that my body just couldn't take it. So Nemesis and Insurrection are tied for close to the bottom. Now, the absolute bottom, the bottom of all bottoms are the reboots. Now, first of all, anytime someone says to me the word reboot, I'm already annoyed. It's such an idiotic idea, and it's an assault to my intelligence. And I found that the one I saw, Beyond, where there was rock and roll music and they called it classical music, and the rock and roll music defeated the aliens because it was too much for them. I mean, that sounded like something out of like a 1970s sitcom or something like that. It was so bad. I don't even divide the various reboots into something different. They're all one thing, and they're the worst. They're the very bottom. Now, I know there's some other movies in there, like Generations, which is okay. And what was that one, The Final Frontier, where they meet God in the middle of the galaxy and stuff like that. They're just those are like bad episodes of the original Star Trek. you know, they're, I mean, or the forgettable ones, not the really terrible ones, the ones that are like, what? And then you're like, I'm never watching that thing again. And although I've seen Generations a couple of times and I've seen Final Frontier a couple of times, still no impact. So that's my top Star Trek movies and my bottom Star Trek movies.
It's the Justin Rubin Show!